Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly. Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly. I like my ears rubbed, I like my paws rubbed, I like my back rubbed, I like my tail rubbed. I like to relax, a massage and some snacks. It's my favorite thing to do. But if you really want to know what I like, listen close. Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly. Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly, my belly. I go walking down the street. 1, 2, 3. I go walking down the street. Look at me. Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet, 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 puppet dog. I go walking down the street. Yes, I do. I go walking down the street. How about you? My mama has a puppet toy that we can choose. I'm the puppet, 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 puppet dog. I'm the puppet, 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 puppet dog. I'm the puppet, 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 puppet dog. I'm the lassiest, sassiest dog around. I'm the scrappiest, happiest dog in town. It feels so good to stretch my legs. Please get my leash, don't make me beg. I need exercise, don't you see? So why not come along, take a walk with me? All you other doggies, won't you?
Hi there, welcome to the Animal Intuitive channel. This is a show and a channel where we give animals a voice through weekly Furry Thursday episodes about animal communication, natural pet care, and we have interviews with animal experts. And tonight I won't be doing any live animal communication because I do have a special guest. He is just coming off a national tour, and he is the host of the No Bad Dogs podcast, which is the #1 dog training podcast in the country. You might have seen it on YouTube or on some of your podcast channels. His natural ability to understand and connect with dogs allows him to break through problems such as reactivity and disobedience. He specializes in dog training based on canine behavior, and he is known for taking on some of the hardest behavior modification cases. So when I found this person's channel about a year or so ago, I was looking for something to do some things with my German Shepherd, Kane, who I've mentioned on the show. And I really just saw someone who was invested in helping people and their dogs, especially in very challenging situations. And I see certain qualities that I think really align with the outlook of our viewers on this channel. So please join me in welcoming Tom Davis from Upstate Canine Academy and Tom Davis International to the Animal Intuitive channel.
Thank you so much. That was a good introduction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're really busy. You have a lot going on. I just came back from this international or national tour, and I know you were also overseas too. So we'll talk more about that. And thank you for being so gracious as to answer potential questions people might have in the chat. And just to let you know in the chat, if you're interested in participating in the raffle, we will be having that giveaway. And that can be sent within the United States. So unfortunately, if you win and you're overseas, that wouldn't work. So, but it's a nice product that I have. It's something I've mentioned here on the show. So first off, let me just say hello to, I see Mel Mac. Thank you so much for being here, everybody who's in the chat. Thank you for coming tonight. And if you care to, please share and like if this is of any help or benefit to you. Hi, Judy-Ann. Hi, Carol. Hi, everybody. And like I said, we will have questions in just a little bit, so we'll be keeping track of the questions. I'll come back and take a look at those. Okay, so let us begin. So, Tom, let me just ask you, do you like to be referred to as dog trainer, or what do you go by?
I don't know. I dog trainer's the easiest, but I've said everything from artist to dog trainer to YouTuber to content creator. So it just depends on where I'm at, and what I'm doing. Yeah, I think I fall under the dog training realm, but it's really not what I do at all.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll definitely get more into that. So, maybe just tell us a little bit how you got started and your background towards opening Upstate Canine Academy and Tom Davis International.
Yeah, I started a dog walking company when I was about 19 years old. And from there, I had opportunities to work with a lot of problematic dogs who couldn't go to daycare because of their behavior. And I just, I've always been in dogs since I was a toddler, just messing around with dogs. We have videos and footage and pictures of me just always being on the ground with dogs, just rolling around in my diaper. Always loved them, like a lot of other dog lovers, I would assume. Always had this innate like draw to them, and I've always wondered like what makes them tick, or what they're thinking, or why they do this, some of the things they do, or just kind of like interacting with them and playing with them, and again just trying to figure out what makes them tick. And so I started my own company when I was about 19. um, and from there it was, I didn't really have a place to live by choice, because I just wanted to start my own company. I had dogs that I couldn't live with my mom at the time, and I just bounced around. I lived in a tent. I lived in buddies' couches, kind of just bounced around, and then basically I people kept asking me for training, like, "Oh, you're really good with my dog. My dog never likes anybody. My dog never does that good," so on and so forth. And I'm just like, "Yeah, it's what I do. It's my job. I'm supposed to be good with dogs. It's literally my job." So, because it's a lot more deeper than just loving dogs. It's Everyone loves dogs, right? But it's understanding dogs, and those two split very binary, like, you know. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's always been that for me. And so, after a while, I just started saying, okay, fine, I can take some of the dogs. I can help. I'm not a trainer, though. I really don't, and that's why I've never really came out like, oh, I'm a dog trainer, because I'm not. I am not in the dog business. I am in the people business. I help people. Dogs, by nature, are very, very easy for me to, like, minutes. Less than an hour, we're good. So yeah, so that's really the long story short. Is I started a dog walking company because it's what I wanted to do, and I worked really hard to get to where I'm at now. And like I said, I was getting asked to help people with their dogs, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not a trainer, but I can help you because I know why your dog's doing the things that they're doing."
Mm-hmm.
And then 15 years later, here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, you found your calling, as Mel Max says. It sounds like you developed your own form of helping dogs, your own art, as you say.
Hmm.
And it definitely seems like you have this deep connection with animals. If you watch any of Tom's videos, I encourage you, when this is over, to go back and watch some. And I have a clip from one of his videos that actually got me interested in uh, having him on the show. Uh, there seems to be a deep connection, and it looks to me like you're really about the whole dog. Like you're really connecting in with them. That's just an observation, and it isn't just formulaic.
Hmm.
As you said, like not just like the traditional, like just dog training. Um,
Hmm.
so, could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the no bad dog theory that you use, your mindset?
Yeah, I know. I just worked with so many dogs, over the years, and every single time somebody comes in with a dog and a problem, and I did a little bit of animal control work for my town back in the day as well, and dogs getting let out, dogs getting hit by cars, dogs habitually barking. Just there's always been like, my dog is this, my dog is this, and people making up excuses, and I just got sick of saying it. Like, it's not your dog, it's you. And and then also I just got sick of hearing, people are like, you're not really training the dog, you're training me. I'm like, yep, that's what it is. So I just created a brand. I just created put it on my shirt, my hoodies. It's now a trademark brand, and it just kind of goes with my whole message of if you have a dog and you're having behavioral problems, it doesn't matter if it's as simple as pulling on the leash to being reactive and aggressive towards people. There's a really, 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 really great chance it's because of you. And so it's everyone who has dogs, who loves dogs, who's interested in dogs, always asks that question. I mean, what's No Bad Dogs about? Anytime anybody's walking around with like a No Bad Dog hoodie or a t-shirt, or we have so many things branded in Signature Series now. I mean, there's stuff everywhere, everything. So it gets a lot of conversation too. It represents dogs who don't have a voice, just to let them know, like, I'm doing the best I can. It's just my whole ecosystem. It's my whole ethos. I'm doing everything I can to use my platforms and grow my platforms to help dog owners across the world. There is hope, and you can change things with your dog, but also understanding that it starts with you, because you are the problem.
And so, yeah, tell us more about the tour that you went on. What did you see as you went across the country, and even to you? I believe you were in England. Did you see
Mm-hmm.
similarities, differences in the way that the people who are coming to you for help, for instance? Was there differences or similarities in their relationships with animals in different locations, or was it all kind of people everywhere are the same with their dogs? You see the same things.
It's the same things, for sure. I mean, in the States, it's all the same, definitely. But in the UK, there's a little bit different variables, because in the UK they don't fix their dogs often. It's not a thing as much. So that plays a way different role in behavior. So there's a lot of that. Almost like we just did a sold out thing over in London and this fall, and I think we can only take 8 working dogs. We only work with 8 dogs because that's just the only time we have in the weekend to do that. And I think 6 out of 8 were all intact males with reactivity issues. So it's not by chance. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but in the States they're all the same, and we typically, I mean, that's what we do as a brand, is we work with people from all over the country. So we always, like, going on tour was amazing to meet the people and be able to meet the No Bad Dog Army, but it's all the same stuff though across the board.
And what would you say your biggest challenges are that you face as a trainer? Is it kind of more just about people being willing to change, or but tell us more about that.
In the beginning, yeah, definitely. There was a lot of that. I think in the beginning there was a lot of like, is this going to work? There was a lot of doubts. There was a lot of that. And now in my career, because I have such an incredible amount of backlogged uh, sessions, of me doing it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And it's not just me saying that; it's me filming and
Mm-hmm.
producing. It's not me just saying like, "Oh, I've trained thousands of dogs," because I have, but we've actually produced and videotaped hundreds of dogs going from one way to the other. So I do have an advantage that I'm very grateful for at the point in my career where the biggest thing that I run into right now is scalability. Is I think that my ultimate goal is to continue to get the message out there and continue to create content that will save dogs' lives, because there's still dogs every minute getting put down because somebody didn't watch a video or hear a podcast that could have clicked things for them. Very, very easy stuff that'll take people like myself, not just me. There's a lot of people that do the things that I do, and it could take people like us 10 to 15 minutes to change the things around for a dog that's going to be euthanized. So for me, I think the biggest challenge and the biggest frustration is scalability, and continuing to grow and continuing to get that message out there to help more dogs.
Okay. So, what do you think the most common, or is there a most common mistake or thing that people are not doing around a specific behavior that you just see over and
Hmm.
over again?
Hmm. Yeah, that's easy. Um, there, yeah, yeah. There's so a lot of people have, especially for me, like I don't do. People don't come to me for basic obedience. They come to me
Mm-hmm.
for behavior modification training, or I'm really relationship based. I really want to make your relationship better with your dog, and there's a lot that goes with that. There's a lot of fringe benefits by doing that. And so we like clockwork, we see somebody uh, coming to hire us for our service for an external problem. My dog is barking on the leash, my dog is pulling, my dog won't come back, my dog is reactive, my dog is aggressive, my dog doesn't like strangers. All of these things are very common things that we see. And the core, and again, this is I make this analogy a lot, but like almost everybody's problem is their basic relationship with their dog. Like 9 times out of 10, if you come in with a dog with a problem, you can't even walk your dog. So somebody comes in, they say, "Hey Tom, I want to spend the weekend with you. I want to invest a lot of time and energy into helping my dog's reactivity." That's the external. They came to me and they clicked because their dog bit somebody, or they can't sleep at night because their dog is barking all the time. They can't eat a meal because their dog is barking out the window. Typically, that's what happens, is there's a click that goes, "You know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This was the last straw."
Mm-hmm.
So that external problem historically is what puts people into my schedule and gets people in front of me, right? But every single time, almost every single time, there's some quirks, like genetic quirks that don't
Mm-hmm.
fall under this format, and those are just like genetical flaws that nobody can. It's almost like you can't do anything about. They're born like that. But
Mm-hmm.
those are rare compared to the amount of dogs that we work with. And it's because they don't have a good relationship with their dog, and they don't have a good foundation, or both. And usually those are the two things. And so when somebody comes in and they say, "Hey, my dog is reactive towards dogs," I'm like, "Okay, I want to just see you walk around the room." And the dog immediately goes like this. And there's no other dogs in the room. They just have no control. So whenever we're working on behavioral modification and changing the mindset and changing how the dog perceives information as an animal, they look around like taking in information. We're trying to do that, right? And that is a hard ask. Like that's like the top. Like I don't want you to think about water the way that water is anymore. Like, what do you mean? So this is I've done this my whole life. Water is water, and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to say no, it's not. Okay, but they can't get their dog to walk on a leash, and they can't get their dog to sit without an Italian deli, or without asking their dog to sit 4, 5, 6 times. So their relationship is like, I'm like, so, and then I kind of break it down. So listen, you want to change your dog's behavior, mindsets, triggers, thought processes, and roadmaps. But I just watched you work with your dog, and your dog doesn't even look at you. We have a long way to go. And the reason why your dog is reactive, and the reason why you're like trying to give me money to get this to shut off because of whatever reason, or because you're sick of getting dragged down the road, is because of your relationship. So it's this evolving circle. Your dog, you're here because your dog doesn't listen, and this is where we need to start. And sometimes that's frustrating for people, because typically, like as a professional or an expert in the field, like somebody who works on staplers, like, "Hey, I'm a stapler expert. I'm an expert. I've been doing this X amount of times. I'm an expert in my field. Here I am." And I'm like, "Okay, great. My stapler's broke." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to fix it for you. I'm just going to tell you what's wrong with it, and then you have to fix it." And that sometimes is hard for people, because it doesn't matter. Because if I don't teach you how to fix this stapler, when you go home and it breaks again, you're just going to keep coming back, and
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't work. So, yeah, that's
Okay.
constant.
Well, let me just before we get a little bit more into that, let me just play a short video that Tom gave me permission to play this. Thank you. And this was a video that really, for me, it just was a really great example of somebody who's really in tune with this dog. And just watch. you'll see what I'm talking about here. It's a really brief clip.
This isn't.
Wait 1 second, guys. I promise I'll get it back. 1 sec. Sorry, everyone. 1 second.
Yeah, and I can give context to the clip while that's loading.
That would be great. Thank you. It's spinning,
Yeah, and
so yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the right one. I don't know. Anyway, there was a
Yeah,
German
it
Shepherd
went.
coming in.
Yeah, it
Super,
flipped to
super,
the next one.
super. Yeah,
Really,
that's
or
from
didn't
the
care.
UK. There was a super
I'd yell, I
reactive
would go,
German
I would
Shepherd
go
that.
more intense there. Conditioning.
Oh, I see.
Correction.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I had to stop it.
That's okay. Yeah, there was a German Shepherd that had come into my facility with really, really bad reactivity, and they have tried triggers and medication, and they're just at a loss. German Shepherd's muzzled, really reactive, coming after me, very forward, like I will bite you. And I just was looking at this dog, and this dog was just so stressed and so fear driven, and like he was like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, just really reactive, very vocal, big, large male dog. I said, guys, and they're standing behind the dog, like just watching all of this happen. And I'm like, this is the reason why your dog is never going to stop this, is because it doesn't matter if they're doing it in front of a trainer or they're doing it in front of a toddler. Like, you guys have to assertively do something about this. This is deadly to this dog, and this is a liability to you. And so I said, you have to correct this. How is this dog ever going to learn that this is inappropriate behavior if you're standing there? So with a dog of that size and a dog of that power, we used a prong collar, which distributes pressure evenly to the dog, so it's a safer correction, so it doesn't cause the tracheal damage. And I corrected this dog when he was barking at me. He stopped and he looked at me and just was like, you can just tell that this click in this dog for the first time was like, oh. And it was able to think after that. I'm pretty sure it's a couple years ago, but I'm pretty sure in that clip I even said, like, that was so cool for me to see, just how much I love dogs and how much I love canine behavior, how quickly this dog was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And if you know canine behavior, you know that if it was real, it would never have stopped. It would have just kept going and going and going and going and going and going and going. But this dog was forwardly motion, and I corrected him, and he sat back, and he just looked at me like, oh, is this bad? I'm like, yes, I will be the strict uncle and tell you that this is not okay.
And I think I have it now. Let's see if it works out here.
Behavior with a reward. This isn't something that we can spend a ton of time on as far as the reactivity that you're dealing with here, because it's explosive, it's dangerous, it's scary, it's a liability. So we're not going to say, how can we make this a positive experience for him?
We want to do it quickly.
Yeah, we want to say, hey, first of all, let's stop trying to kill me. Step one. Second of all, then we leave it. Leave it. So that correction that you guys just saw is something I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. I popped the collar right to the side, just a quick snap right on the dog's prong collar, and he looked at me, and so many things went through his head. And I'll never forget that. That was one of the first times a dog really looked at me and said, holy crap. That was really cool to see. And his
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Still is cool. It was just like, there is no analysis. There is no looking at that situation and trying to backpedal on like, well, this is why that happened. It's like, no, this dog came in absolutely a mess, not knowing what to do. And the owners were enabling this dog by just letting it happen. And I just said, hey man, stop, chill. And he was able to take a breath and go, and then he was able to think. So yeah, that was huge. Those are the types of things that, those are those breakthroughs that we try to have every session that we work with dogs, but sometimes it doesn't come across as clear as that. but they do happen often, and it's really cool.
It was so cool because you can literally look, you can see him processing. You can just watch it in his eyes, and it's just an amazing moment. I
Mm-hmm.
know everybody doesn't, everyone's doing their own thing in the animal world, and here we talk a lot about real deep understanding of what the animal's thinking and feeling. But I'm just wondering, do you often find that you're seeing things on a deeper level with them, where you're really connecting in and you're understanding them?
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I try to do that. I try to look at the benefit of the dog, and I am working with a lot of dogs, so it's really easy to get into a groove.
Hmm.
And it's easy to, there's a lot of times where I have to take a step back. I have to, I'm just go, 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 go all the time in so many different facets that I have to remember what I'm doing. And if I make a mistake, I'll pay for it. And it happens all the time. But yeah, I try to do my best to slow things down and really think about things and really go from where the dog's point of view is coming from, and then relay the information back to the owner. I think especially in the dog world, too many people are focused on how we feel as
Hmm.
humans, because it just like we put our emotions into what we think is best for the dog instead of actually thinking what's best like for the dog long term. And so I tried to go from that aspect. I'm like, what is natural to dogs? How do dogs interact with each other? I spent a great deal of time working with wolves in Colorado, just understanding how do canines in general at like a different level work with each other,
Oh,
and just studying and just watching like what works and what doesn't.
yeah.
And that's why I don't really call myself a dog trainer. I have this ability to, and I work really hard at making sure it's good, and that's why I continue. People are just like, this is amazing, this is amazing, and I just keep doing, helping dogs. That's my end goal, is to just save as many dogs as I can, not to be, the like a big dog trainer. I'm just trying to save as many dogs as I can.
Did you notice more with the wolves, that did you see things going on that were real, like, because you get to see them more, I would think, in a
Oh yeah.
pack situation? Did you get to, like, yeah, get in there and watch those
Oh
interactions? Like,
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. Did you have any favorite stories from that?
Hmm. Yeah. There was yeah, lots of stories. So I worked at I volunteered I got contracted out and volunteered my time at a wolf sanctuary in southern Colorado called Mission Wolf, and just a really special place in my heart. I almost think about that place every day. It's in the
Mm,
middle of the mountains, and you're surrounded by wolves, and you're surrounded by people that are just trying to, hopefully do better, and pitch in for this sanctuary. It's a self-sustained sanctuary, and it's really cool. They have solar. Everything is solar. They grow their own food.
oh,
It's
wow.
it's a really cool thing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just watching animals be animals. I think it's very, very, very like eye-opening, to see how canines actually would interact with each other if there was no human, like, hey, don't hurt each other. When they're really trying to show something, or prove a message, they'll
Mm.
just snap at each other and break skin and break bones. And at night, I lived in this little tent outside of the sanctuary, and you just hear all these wolves
Wow,
just
that's
howling around
cool.
you. Very cool. And you just hear stuff, and you're like, whoa. And as a dog person, and I know they're not dogs, I get that, right? But as a dog
Absolutely.
person, you know what sounds you're hearing. You're hearing
Yeah.
snarls and snaps and growls and barking, and it's pretty interesting to see. But that's what I mean. That's why, like, when I dove into this, I was like, I want to try to get to know dogs at I get to know canines at every level that I can, so I can do the best of my job. And that's what's worked so well for me so far, is I'm not getting into the political battles of who's right and who's wrong and what's good and what's bad. I'm looking at a dog, I'm like, let's try this, and it's working out beautifully,
Hmm.
and we just kind of keep stacking. So it's been, yeah, that was a great experience that I think about often.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I was wondering, with the holidays coming up, this is something we've been doing a little bit on the show this month. I started a little bit of a series last week, and just tell us about, any holiday advice that you might have for people that are thinking about getting a dog for whatever,
Yeah.
Christmas or yeah.
Well, if you're thinking about getting a dog, then I would suggest just going to a shelter. Some of the mutts at the shelters are the best dogs to train. They're the most loyal dogs. My favorite dog that I've ever owned, my most special dog, she was a shelter dog that we adopted from a PetSmart ASPCA thing, and she lived 18. She was the most loyal dog. I'll never get one like her again. So that's my advice for people who are thinking about getting a dog. There's nothing wrong with getting a purebred dog, but again, if there's no real reason for you to go out and do that for whatever reason, because there is reasons, go get a shelter dog and adopt a dog that needs a home, and just make sure that you're putting in the work in the beginning. I think the biggest mistake, like think about it. All I do is travel the world that we float on and help dogs with their owners and do all these things like this and just help as much as I can. And the number one reason why I do that is because people don't put in the groundwork. If more people put in the groundwork of boundaries and, hey, nope, we can't, this isn't appropriate. Okay, now you can do this. Just like basic operant conditioning and please and thank yous like we do with kids, there won't be many problems unless you run into, again, this genetical like hiccup of like, okay, this isn't inevitable, but what are we going to do about it? So that's my biggest advice, is just set like if you were to adopt a child from a different country that knew nothing, and you're trying to raise this child with respect and love and compassion and empathy and understanding, it's the same thing you would want to do with the dog. Don't let your dog do all this crazy stuff because it's cute, because it'll bite you, no pun intended.
Yeah.
So yeah, boundaries is huge.
Yeah. And so also, do you find that this time of year, does anything happen with your business in like the spring or January, February, where you're seeing where people may have too hastily gone into getting an animal?
Yeah, we see a lot of puppy training around February. Once the puppy stages, the cute puppy stage is over, then it becomes the real dog stage, when puppies are not like Instagrammable anymore, and they're tearing up their house, and they're barking, and they're scratching, and they're biting, and they're dragging owners down the road. Again, like I always tell people, just try to be proactive instead of reactive. Just try to I don't want you to have to call us, because we're usually the company that works with dogs with, behavioral issues. So, but like I said, sometimes it's inevitable and you did everything right, and sometimes dogs are tough. But yeah, we see an influx for sure. And like the end of January, same thing as gyms, January 1 after the New Year's, they see an influx in memberships. People are starting that New Year off strong, which is great, but, as any business would, we, just like shopping centers right now are crazy because this is the time of year. And so a lot of people do get puppies and dogs and adopt dogs around the holidays. And of course, working with dogs, we see business, but we've always, we always are pretty crazy. We always have a wait list, always have. So it's, that's what I was saying in the beginning, is I want to continue to work with dogs at a more scalable level, because we can't help as many people as we'd like to. So
right, what does that look like for you? So maybe tell people where Tom and I are actually from a not that we knew each other before, but he and I are from a similar area in upstate New York. But maybe tell people a little bit about that and what you do there, what all the things you have available.
Yeah, well, we have two different locations. We have the new training facility that we just opened up this year is a dog training facility that we just do dog training and board and train, so just dog training there. It's a big 15,000 square foot space. It's huge, and we're working with so many dogs there, and we take in dogs all the time. Majority of our clients are from out of state, so we have more out of state clients than in-state clients. So I'd like to say, like, it's not just New York or even our region. We're taking in dogs from all over the country all the time. And then we have a daycare down the road which is like our big training facility. That's where we did everything. We did our daycare, we did our board and train, we did our private train, all under that like 4,000 square foot space. And 4,000 square foot space is not small, but it's like a really long, narrow building. So it's not really set up to do what we do. It's all we could afford, even though at the time we couldn't afford it. And it's the biggest space we could do. And we started there, and now we're even looking into other spaces in different parts of the world. But yeah, so upstate New York, the real upstate, not Rochester or Syracuse or Buffalo.
Or Westchester. Yeah. What I found when I moved downstate, when I'm in Jersey now, but when I moved from upstate down, everyone would say upstate. Like when I was in the city, people would go,
"Yep.
Oh, so you're from Westchester?" I'm like, no, It goes way more. Like there's all the way to Canada. Yeah. There's a lot of space in there. It's funny that people's like, it's kind of, I find like what they know is kind of the world. Times, but but why do you think so many are coming from other places to you? Like you mean in others? So I mean, there's got to be something going on here. Why aren't people getting what they need more local? Like what's missing out there, do you think?
I think diversity. That's what I think. I think to be honest, the biggest thing is social media. Obviously creating social media and people being able, like, think about it. Like if you, like, I love being a creator. I love YouTube. I love the space of YouTube. Always have. Like I said before, is like sometimes some people ask me, oh, what do I do? Or if I'm traveling or whatever, I just say I'm a YouTuber, because I am. That's not the first thing I am, but I mean, I am. That's how that's one of my jobs. But that's a huge advantage, is being able to look at somebody and not only just like watch one video, two videos, but I have hundreds of videos from when I first started to where I'm at now with like a full production team. And so content helps, like people want to go and hire people that they're comfortable with. People want to go on people that they like, oh, this makes sense. So that's probably a big piece to it. Having the YouTube channel, the Instagram, the podcast, and having, a pretty heavy following on all of my socials plays a role. I mean, I'm giving out free information to people because I care and I want to help people. This is why I created that's my goal, is to help more people. So, but I think like what's missing in between, people traveling is just, again, diversity. There's a lot of people who aren't comfortable with working with behavioral cases, or to be frank, they're very unsuccessful. And that's where we see a lot of people coming in. We've worked with all these other trainers or behavioralists, and the dog's a puddle on the ground. I'm like, we want to try different things to work on the relationship and not try to work on techniques. It's like, it's very, like, that's the way I do things, is when people come to me, I never know who they are, what they're doing, what their problem is. I know nothing, zero, zilch. So when they come in, I don't even know their name. I just say, hey, my name's Tom. They say, oh, my name is this. I say, what's going on with your dog? And we start, because everything that I do is very free shaped. It's very, like, that's why I call myself an artist. I'm really not a dog trainer, because I'm expressing myself through natural talent that I have now snowballed into a career, like a good cook or a good chef or a good musician. You naturally had this when you were a kid, and then you developed it, and now you're here. And I'm sharing that gift, or I'm sharing my art with millions of people. That just like with music, it saves lives, and there's no difference. It's what I do.
So I want to hear a little bit more, if you have a minute, about the relationship piece, and also if you want to be entered to win a CBD for your pet. This is the CBD brand that I use. It's been very helpful for my pets. Things like thunderstorms, just 4th of July, sometimes with even like just traveling stress. I'm going to be giving one of these away. So in the chat, this is from Hemplucid. It's the pet CBD full spectrum. And if you're in the United States, and I'm so sorry for people who are not in the United States, but that are here, I do love and appreciate all of you for being here. But unfortunately, the shipping becomes an issue with that. So if you could, in the chat, though, type "no bad dogs" if you want to be entered in the drawing we're going to do soon to win these CBDs. And if you had a question for Tom, he's kind enough to say that he would answer. If you have any questions, please let us know. And so we're seeing people. 1, 2, good night, Al, Mac. Yes, no bad dogs ever. If you could tell us just a little bit more, how do you work on the relationship? What is, like, where do you start when someone comes to you?
Well, when I say relationship, it's like I had a conversation with a dog owner yesterday, and I was saying, like, she's like, oh, her dog is reactive. And, when people come over, my dog's freaking out. And when I say relationship, think about like, how our parents would be like, hey, knock it off, or like, hey, stop, or hey, I need you to go do this. Like, really, like, I need this done. Like, how do you respond to that? Like, is your dog going to be like, oh, sorry, was that a mistake? Or, oh, this is urgent. Or, oh, I got to go here and do this quick. That's like just like a clip of like what I'm talking about when I say relationship. Typically, when we ask our dogs to do something, like right now, I would say 80% of dogs, like if we were to go out and we thought about doing this and just like poll people, like asking your dog to do a behavior without this whole circus, not many people could do it. That's what I mean by relationship. Like, could you look at your dog right now without any context and don't even say their name and just look at them and say, sit? Would they sit? Probably not. And that's like what I'm talking about. Relationship. So if you have a dog that's like reactive, or you have a dog that is having a hard time with anything, think about an audit. Like, where's your relationship at? Like, if you ask them to do something, do they take you seriously? How many times do you have to ask them to do something? That's all relationship based stuff. That's your relationship. Just like with employees or partners or kids, it's like, think about your relationship. Like, do they respect you? Have you taught them boundaries? Have you taught them accountability? If you don't have that, which typically people don't, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just loving, glorified roommates.
I think that's an interesting point that you're making about doing an audit on your. Yeah. That's a good thing to take a moment to. I just wanted to have your website come up for a second. So there we go. This is Tom's website. www.upstatecanine.com, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I put the // on there. I don't know if you need that or not, but I think I copied and pasted it in there. So I don't know if you can't get there, take off that / at the end. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Do an audit. See how quickly does your pet respond. I know for me, one thing that I have to come back to repeatedly for one of my dogs is she will not come back. Her recall is not great. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. And when we worked with a trainer, he just many years ago, actually for Kane, but it was really getting driven home with me because her recall was good for a while when she was newer. And then when we got this other dog, the trainer for him kept emphasizing recall because he seems, so many animals, and I see it too, go missing. They go take off after something and come back does not work. And, it really is meaningful to me to keep doing that recall check-in. So for everybody, do a check-in. Is there anything that could potentially cause an issue down the line that you want to avoid? Sometimes we get busy and we forget these things that, hey, everything's fine. And then one day you need to get your dog back and they don't come back. That's terrible.
Yeah. And we always hear like out of nowhere, and it's like, no, this is accumulated the day you brought your dog home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. I have a question from Carol. Can a dog have an equal relationship with two people? Can two people have the dog's attention?
Yeah. The answer is yes. It's the same thing as, again, like anything else in life. Like, you just have to earn it, though. Like, there's got to be, there's going to be a good cop and a bad cop sometimes. And again, like, what do you want to be? Like, for me, I know dogs need structure and they need, like, what am I doing here? And for me, like, I'd love to be that for my dogs, making sure that, they have structure and they have boundaries and they have respect and they have a good time and they love their life. But if you don't, like, it's not like programming a computer. It's not like, oh yeah, you're good, the dog's trained. Like, all the time people will get my dog and ask her to do stuff and she checks them all the time. And they're like, it goes to show, right? Like, if I can get my dog to do all these things with just one command or whatever, and then somebody else tries it and she doesn't do it. You know, it's like, it's how you said it.
Yeah.
It's the way you said it. It's the way everything, you know, how many times you said it. So the answer is yes. Dogs can have different relationships with different owners, but it's mainly because of what they're doing with them, you know?
Yeah.
That's why if your dog comes in and is reactive on the leash, and then I take your dog and they're not reactive, like, there's a reason why that's happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I know I have to work on that a lot myself, because my husband, it comes easier. There's some things I think, you know, it's not an excuse. I'm not saying that, but sometimes I think for men, just even the sound of their voice, or they're just physically bigger, things like that sometimes come into play. And it's almost like I have to work harder. I have to be more mindful of where my weaknesses are, you know? And it's, whether it's just what it is what it is. Just, I can't make an excuse. Well, I don't have a voice. Do the signals and commands have to be the same? I'm not sure do you know what that means?
Yeah, yeah. Meaning, if it's the same person, I think is it the same person?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just like
I see.
If sit was for me, for the dog, and then maybe somebody else was like, I did it in a like Aussie, like a different language. Like, does it have to be? It doesn't. My dog does 3 different languages, and so it doesn't have to be. You just have to teach. You have to teach them individually, though, what it is. Like, if I use down for my dog, and then I wanted to teach down in French, she's not going to know down in French. I have to teach her that word also means this. And so you just have to spend the time to do it. So yeah, but yeah, it's not going to work if they don't understand the English language or whatever. They don't know dialect. So it's cues, you know, so you just have to teach them individually.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I don't see any other questions, and I think my wonderful husband is in the chat, and he was going to do the drawing for me, because he was going to like make a little list and do a random drawing. So I'm waiting for you, dear husband. And in the meantime, is there anything that you feel like, Tom, that we didn't cover, that I didn't ask you, didn't touch on? I do want to also, before we forget, see if there's anything you wanted to specifically recommend people check out with you, even if they're not near you, things on your site.
Yeah, I don't think so. Nothing comes to mind. I just think, you know, if you want to, like, my content on YouTube specifically is very realistic. So it's people like dog owners like yourself coming in with a problem, and then me walking them through different scenarios. And we have so many different videos and so many different cases and so many different variables. So if you like dog behavior, you like dog training, it's probably going to be interesting to you. And then we also have a podcast, the No Bad Dogs podcast, and same thing. People call in. We do online consulting, and they book with me, and we basically just do the same thing in audio format. So people find it really helpful. A lot of people actually train their dogs fully with just watching that content. So it's pretty cool.
And I will have that in the description, those links. But what is the official name of the YouTube channel?
Upstate Canine Academy.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll have that in the chat in the description. People can go check that out after, or if they're watching the replay, please do. And all right. I don't think my husband was paying attention, so I'm going to do the raffle. All right. So I'm just going to have to do this blindly, kind of. I've done this before, where I have to just sort of look away and then kind of scroll, and I'll just point my finger at my screen and see where I land here. I landed on somebody who didn't put No Bad Dogs. All right. And that could be because they're not in the country. That might be why. So let me just do this again. Melmac. Yay. Melmac is a wonderful mod here. So I'm really happy actually that she wins that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much
Nice.
thank you for doing everything you do, Melmac. I really appreciate it. So I'm glad that you have to send me your address though. Email me at Ann with an E, so that's ANNE at intuitivetouchanimalcare.com so that I can figure out where to send that to you. And yeah, and I think you might have said this, I'm not sure, you have distance courses, right, on your site?
Yeah, I have courses and yeah, I mean we have
So people
courses on
could do
there.
that. Yeah, if they want to train with you too, they could go there and do that at a distance. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, Tom, I really appreciate I think we're going to see a lot from you in the future. You know, you're already doing some great things and you know, we're really appreciative that you took some time to come here and answer some of our questions and um,
Yeah.
good luck with
Thanks for
everything.
having me on.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Could you stay
All
for
right.
one minute? Don't go away yet because we
Sure.
have to just, I always forget to tell people we have to take a quick picture for the thumbnail. So full transparency here on YouTube. We have to roll with it. So, all right.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
everybody. Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys next week. And I have another drawing next week. So come back for that. All right.
Rub my belly.